Hey guys, this is Tony with Geek Designs. Today I'm back with another design video. Today I want to talk about tips and tricks for streamer logos. I did an older video of this, but I kind of want to update it today just because it's been a few years since I did it. You can see the old one up there. I think streamer logos are something that a lot of people know and see, but don't understand what's maybe some best practices, maybe what's some good ideas to do for these logos, or what's some good concepts to go with, or how to figure out what your first logo should be or what your final logo should be. But yeah, let's just jump into this one. So streamer logos, there's a few ways you can go with this. Currently, I think we are past the tipping point of Mascot logos being the mainstream. I think most people have switched from that, and now we are going towards more a idea of a more simple, clean logo instead of a Mascot esports type logo. But I think overall, Mascot logos still have a niche. I don't think they're ever completely die because I think they have such an ingrained part inside of content creation, Twitch, esports, all this jazz. Maybe they might morph and change and become more clean instead of more edgy and more mascot-y. They might change and morph into more of a simple concept. I think some teams are already doing this, and I think some content creators are already doing this. But I think there's still a purpose for them. I think if you're going to use one, I think there's some things you should consider. I have still a lot of people that ask this question and still have this preconception that a profile picture, you know, your logo, your with a nice background, all this jazz, that's your logo. And that isn't. That's not your logo. That's your profile picture. It's meant to look nice, so it looks nice on social medias and all these other jazz. I'll put up some here, but that's not your logo. Your logo needs to be able to be broken out into different pieces. So it needs to be able to have just the graphics. So you have a flying bald eagle, whatever, or a griffin. You need to be able to break that out separately. You need to be able to break out your type separately. You need to be able to put them both together so that you can use them in different formats. So say if you have like an overlay, maybe sometimes you don't want to use that full logo because maybe that's just a little bit too over the top. Maybe you just want to use the font. Some people just want to use the font. That could work. Or if you have just the graphic, you could just use that also. Or you could do a looping animation where it loops into the graphic, then fades and zooms in and zooms back out as the font. You could do that too. These are just things you have to consideration as streaming. You need to consider that your logo needs to be able to be broken up, used in different ways. This is actually just generic branding 101, not just streaming, not just content creator, just general companies and corporations need to take this into consideration. But I think it's now to a point where streaming and content creation has become mature enough to where you guys also need to take this into consideration. I think another thing to consider is, should you use a Mascot logo or should you use a more clean logo? Or should you use something completely different and go off the wall? These are three options you can do. And it comes down to what's the personality, what's your audience for your stream. These things are going to come into consideration big time. I think overall it comes down to what kind of streamer are you? Are you that esports streamer, that highly competitive streamer, that guy that just wants to get all the headshots and get all the aces and all that crap? Then yeah, go for that esports logo, rock that crap. But if you're more of like a chill streamer, more, you know, you want to just do transmogs and WoW or Final Fantasy, and you just want to chill and hang out with your community, maybe an esports logo or Mascot logo isn't the best for you. Honestly, it probably isn't. It's too aggressive for that type of stream. Then you should take that into consideration. Maybe you just need a dope type layout, or maybe you just need a dope icon. You don't need that aggressive, edgy type of logo. I know at some point it was everyone had those and that was just the mainstream, that was just how it was, but now that's not the case. Even some people who had those in the day are switching, like Shroud. So we're past the tipping point of esports Mascot logos being the mainstream. So decide what type of content are you making, what type of personality are you going to have, what type of audience is going to be watching your stream. And maybe you could do something off the wall. Maybe you're a DJ and you do the music category, or maybe you just have that type of personality that jives with it a lot, that maybe you want to do something completely off the wall, like maybe a graffiti style, or maybe something that something doesn't fit in either of those categories. That's okay to explore and see what it looks like. I don't think it's one or the other in this discussion. I think there's a big gray area that hasn't been explored yet for content creators and streamers. I think one thing we, as content creators and streamers, need to take into account, though, is what is this going to look like when it's small? It's easy to see what this logo is going to look like when it's big and in your face, but once you get to like the size of a profile picture, is it still legible? Is it still viewable? Is it still understandable of who that is? This is what some people are not realizing, and a lot of designers on Fiverr aren't getting you guys what you need to get. I've noticed that some of them are just giving you just the icon, or they're giving you a Mascot logo with the fancy font, and that's it. That can't be easily translated once it gets down to the size of a profile picture. And this is where it comes back to, you need to be able to break out your logo into different pieces. If you just had that icon, it'd be much more visible, much more readable, depending on how much detail's in there. Once you get smaller, the more detail, the harder it is to read. So that's also something that needs to be taken into consideration. How is your color scheme being used elsewhere? This is a little outside thinking, but if your designer's working with you and they understand all this, they'll understand that your logo color scheme can be extended elsewhere and should be extended elsewhere. And used in a way that's a little bit of a gray area, where you can use different shades of that color, different tones of that color, to make different elements pop more. So let's say you have a starting soon screen or a be right back screen. Typically when I do them, I do starting soon, brighter, be right back, kind of mid-tone, and offline is a lot darker. This is to show a transition in the stream. And I think overall you can add a darker color to that. So say you have a black base and you have a blue. You take that blue, you make it 50%. Now it's a darker blue. You can mix them like that. And it's okay. You don't need to use these exact colors everywhere. I think doing that restricts you, and it can sometimes look cheap if you don't do it right. So you need to have that wiggle room to get that look that you want to have. I think overall, though, we are in a good spot for logo design for content creators and streamers. I think there's a lot of room for freedom for people looking for stuff. I think people are getting away from this idea of a Mascot logo. They're opening up to the idea of a clean logo. Or somewhere in between, a Mascot logo that's a little bit more clean or a little bit more simplified, so it's easier to read. I think streamers and content creators are becoming smarter with understanding branding. Maybe not on a technical or a way that designers can talk about it, but they're understanding it from exposure. They're exposed to good branding. They understand how it works. They understand what's needed for it. And I think that's helping overall everyone. But I don't know what's coming next as of right now. I think what's going to come up next, my personal opinion, I think next we are going into a state of, I want to say professionalism is the right word, where we're going to take logo design and branding to the next level for streamers. Streamers that are top tier, that level of branding and streaming is going to start trickle down to maybe the mid tier of streamers, not the bottom yet. The bottom, still people are trying to figure out who they are and what they want to do. But the mid tier guys, those guys are going to start wanting stuff like that, so then they can push themselves up to the next level. And that's all okay. That's all good. But yeah, that's just my comments for this one and my thoughts on this one, guys. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or death threats, just get them down in the comments down below, and I'll get down there with you. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.